Today's video is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. Our inner demons are closer than you think. Hi, Ugly. It's me, Bussy, and welcome back to Hot or Rot. And today we'll be reviewing Drag Race UK Season 4, Episode 5. Just when you think it's too big, it isn't. Our queens were challenged to sing live in Lairy Poppins' The Rusical, the twisted tale of Mary's evil twin. I'm, by the way, Bussy, King's evil twin, if you didn't catch that yet. And the runway category was West End Wonders. Looks inspired by iconic musical characters. West End, by the way, is like London's Broadway. And before we even get into the details of it all, I just have to say, wow, what an episode. The talent, it jumped out. So we'll be breaking all of that down, and then at the end of the video, we'll be taking a look at an interview Sminty did with Digital Spy concerning her exit and how the judges are treating runways this season. And I can't wait to make my big debut, but first, trick or treat! That was the trick. And now for the treats, click the link in the description of my video or scan the QR code to start downloading Raid Shadow Legends. I've been playing Raid for a while now, and one of my favorite things about the game is their top tier character design. So in the Halloween spirit, here are my top 3 spookiest champions from the Undead Hordes faction. First up, we've got Crypt King Crawl, a legendary support champion who can cripple enemy teams with attack debuffs, freezes, and HP burns. Next up, Harvest Jack, who's a literal nightmare with a scythe and the head of a jack-o'-lantern with spider eyes. And he's also a great trickster to have on your team because he can steal and block enemy buffs. And the spookiest of them all, Little Miss Annie. She reminds me of the creepy dolls in my grandma's antique cabinets, but come to life in the demon underworld, who's ready to assassinate with abilities like pretty nails. And now for the treats, veteran and newbie raiders alike, make sure to use promo code DKRises. You'll get tons of free silver and in-game items that can take any champion to level 50 with 5-star ascension. And to new raid players, you can win prizes like $1,000 Amazon gift cards and get legendary Halloween champions when you visit trickortreat.plarium.com. Just enter your player details and spin the wheel to get your prize. New players will also get a free starter pack worth almost $30, including a free champion, Ina, and all of this in-game loot. Just scan the QR code or click the link in the description of my video to download Raid right now. And hurry, because your rewards will only be available in your inbox for the next 30 days. And once you're in, find me under the name Bussy Queen. Thanks Raid for sponsoring today's video. Now, let's break a leg. Or two. In the order they hit the runway today, first up, we've got Pixie Polite. And she had quite the showing this episode, starting off by winning the reading challenge. This gets her the ability to assign roles for this Rusical. And I think she did a pretty good job casting everyone except obviously herself. She has a bit of a moment in the workroom while everyone is rehearsing their lines, and it seems she is realizing that the role she's given herself, Mary Poppins, is not actually the one she wanted. And we don't get much more explanation behind why she wanted to make that last minute switch aside from saying it's not the part I thought it was, which makes me wonder what in the hell she thought it was. Regardless though, Danny does go ahead and switch with her, ending her up in the role of Lick Van D. And her actual performance as LVD, I thought was really solid. This is a role though that I think is harder to put your own stamp on or elevate, because doing something too crazy in this sort of narrator role, I think runs the risk of distracting from what little plot there is in a Rusical. Overall, I don't think she could have done a hotter job sweeping the chimneys in this Rusical, but I do think she maybe sabotaged herself a little bit by not keeping that starring role. And over on the runway, she is giving us a double feature of Tracy Turnblad from the musical Hairspray, first in her school uniform, which reveals to a cute little black and white cocktail dress. And Pixie tells us this was her choice because Tracy is a character that she looks up to for self-confidence and body positivity. I also thought thematically this was a really interesting runway choice for Pixie, considering in this episode we do see her struggling with her confidence. She's not sure which role she should take, and there's even a weird moment when she's getting critiques where Michelle, almost out of nowhere, I think there was just a weird cut in the edit, she's complimenting Pixie, saying Tracy Turnblad is iconic, you have the attitude, that's what we need when we think of Tracy. And then it cuts to, you can't go back, you gotta stop with this BS, this is not the place for it. Like, it was seriously such a jarring cut with no context, and I feel like it must have only been included to give an editorial justification, I guess, to why Pixie didn't ultimately get the win. But that's just a theory, an evil twin theory. Good morning, Baltimore, this look is hot And next up, Jonbers, J, blonde. In the challenge, she is the bird lady. You know the one. Up on the rooftops, feeding the pigeons, selling her body. 2 piece and a biscuit, anyone? And this character was one of my personal favorites tonight. It was so bizarre, so out there, and she is such a ham. Crawling around on all fours, all of the bird noises, completely acted a fool on that stage, and it was exactly what she needed to do for a role like that. And while her role was not a super significant one in terms of plot of this Rusical, this was a show-stealing performance. This bird flew the cuckoo's nest, and this performance gets a and over on the runway, she is singing in the rain, singing in the rain. She's paying homage to Singin in the Rain, except make it fashion. But is it fashion? Michelle didn't think so. However, I did enjoy her interpretation of what in the movie and musical is really just a plain yellow raincoat trench coat. She said fashion is a raincoat, tear it apart. And I do agree a little bit with Michelle. It might have been a little bit better to see that full cage hoop skirt come on both sides. But I think visually speaking, there are some really good moments on this look, like that gorgeous hat that's see-through that has little raindrop crystals coming down. And the silhouette that she's created here from a, remember, raincoat inspiration is really unique and also unique to Jonbers so far. She's been really interesting every week on the runway, and I had fun with this, so I'm gonna give this a Also, did y'all gag when Rupaul called out her lip size? What is with Ru? That's like her new thing, because she did that to Lady Camden too. She's obsessed with the paper thin lips like I have. And next up, this bin juice is lit AF. It's Black Peppa. She ends up in the role of the twins with Dakota, and honestly, killed it. Like, she had no reason to perform the house down boots in this supporting role like this so hard. She nailed every moment of choreo. Every single line was funny. She was giving this little baby voice effect to some of the things that she said that added even more comedy. And watching her professionalism in this role, I was reminded, like, this is how it should feel to watch an actor. Someone who is really, really good at their craft. You forget who they are as a person, and you're just in this role, this character that they have created. She did a great job at that. This performance was hot. And over on the runway, this line is not sleeping tonight because she is prowling on the catwalk. This look is phenomenal. She is giving us the circle of life. In the musical of Lion King, the characters do wear lion heads like Black Peppa has on hers. So her homage here is very true to the source material and also really unique to her. Y'all know I love Black Peppa. She could walk out on the runway in a mother tucking diaper and I would probably eat it up. But this really is a lot of fun. And the other thing I really like about this look is it reminds me how ambitious Black Peppa is on the runway. She has had the hugest headpieces, and we can see this one kind of tilting to the side. I'm sure it was near impossible to situate correctly, especially with her prowling all over the stage, but you gotta admire the dedication there. This look is Hakuna Matata. Next up, Dakota Schiffer, who lets us know this episode that she hates musicals and has never seen Mary Poppins. And honestly, I don't know how she escaped childhood without somebody playing Mary Poppins for her. I feel like it was always on for me, like at the daycare or my house, because I was watching it over and over. And like, I can't say I can recall every detail of the plot when I watched it as a kid, but I do know that a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down, among other things. And when casting is happening for the Rusical, she does let them know that she doesn't want to be one of the twins. However, she ends up in the role of twins anyways when they do a sort of audition for a French accent against Cheddar Gorgeous, who apparently can pronounce croissant with the best of them. Her performance though as one of the twins, as the judges said, really wasn't bad. Nobody stumbled too hard today. She just was a little stiffer than some of the other girls, and compared to Black Peppa, she was a little lower on the energy scale. Like, there's some pretty clear spots when, especially she's dancing next to Peppa, where Peppa is hitting that choreo just a little harder and really giving it to the judges, so I understand the decision that happened there. This performance I would leave with a warming up, and over on the runway, she gives Barbra Streisand in Funny Girl, not to be confused with Starlet in Goofy Girl. And I think the thing about Dakota's fashion that is becoming more and more apparent every week is she has a perspective on who she is and what she wants to look like on stage. Because girl, if there's one thing Miss Dakota will do is pay homage to the 60s, unless that homage in question is watching Mary Poppins, which is from the 60s. Dakota? Anyway, this runway tonight is sweet. It's exactly what you'd expect from Dakota, and you know, consistency is not a bad thing. This look is hot. And next up, grab a slice. It's Cheddar Gorgeous. In the challenge, as I just mentioned, she auditioned and won the part of Rochelle LaRoche. Cheddar gave French, and Dakota gave French fry. And I'll say of this array of Rusical characters tonight, I think Cheddar had the best visual presentation. And I'm not sure how much of that was Cheddar adding her own spice and flavor to this costume, because I'm pretty sure that they are all given the costumes they wear, but I 100% was believing the Cockroach fantasy. However, the actual performance she gave was not as good as she looked to me. I felt like it was missing some punches, and this was a feature role, and not a feature role that I was sitting there laughing at or thinking, wow, this is amazing, like I did a couple of the others. She just sort of did her part and the Rusical moved on. And we did see something similar going on with Cheddar when the girl group was happening. I think choreo is not necessarily her forte. This Cockroach would definitely survive the Rotpocalypse though. I'm gonna leave it with a very safe warming up to a hot somewhere in there. And over on the runway, denied Cheddar and be doomed. She's giving homage to Hedwig and the Angry Inch, which she says is the reason she does drag. I'm sure the reason many a queen do drag. Generally speaking, the story of the musical is one that very much preaches self-love, duality, and more to meets the eye type of thing. And the look Cheddar is presenting is very true to the source material, but also very true to, I think, who Cheddar is. All of the rhinestones and bleaching on the denim jumpsuit are really cool details. And in general, I think this is a really great modernization of the original look done in a super draggy, made-for-TV way. This look is absolutely hot. And next up, Phil. So the character Phil gets in the Rusical is OG Mary. Basically the closest thing that we'd have to a true Mary Poppins in the Lairy Poppins Rusical. And my interpretation of this character, having watched the Rusical back a couple different times, was they wanted whoever filled this role to really give two different performances, right? Because there's the very proper uptight delivery at first that I think LaPhil absolutely nailed. She's got great lines in there, like the plot line is atrocious, she's hitting the jokes, she is very in character, but then the character is challenged to be a little dirty. She starts saying bad words, the words that you don't like, but she's gonna say them anyways. But I didn't really see the transformation of the character happen on stage. But again, I think LaPhil did good. This is just me analyzing and over-analyzing, really looking at the critiques and the placements of everybody and trying to figure out what happened. Because she did very narrowly escape bottom 2 this episode, but she will very safely get a very safe hot here. But over on the runway, girl, another day, another slay. This look is absolutely gorgeous. She's giving homage to King and I. She's giving us Femme King realness, and good God, the details of this are so immaculately placed on Phil's body. The jewelry, the rhinestones everywhere, the bodysuit that's painted to give that abs and pec illusion. And I think in this look, there is just the right amount of pieces and fabric and everything that Phil can play with and have fun in the presentation on the runway, as we know Phil likes to do. And I think Phil knows just how gorgeous they're looking too. Long live King Phil. This look is hot. And next up, baby, baby, baby. This baby broke my heart this episode. In the challenge, baby was given the character of Martha Prude, and well, she's mother, she's rich, she refuses to live like the lower class, she's the parents of the 2 twins, and she really is responsible in this role for starting off the Rusical right, which I think she did. The critiques on Baby this episode had me scratching my head like I was last week, trying to really understand what they were even saying. They were telling her that she looked nervous and they lost her. But I would argue the exact opposite. She felt very present, confident, and I don't know how you lost someone who at the end of their role was literally screaming. But what do I know? I don't even watch the episodes. And since some people don't understand sarcasm, that was a joke. I actually do watch them and upload the best moments of my reactions to the episodes where I break everything down live with my patrons over on patreon.com/bussyqueen. That's my members only website where my patron family gets exclusive member benefits like early access to my YouTube videos, access to exclusive videos, access to the Bussy Queen Discord server, and more. And make sure to hurry on over there so you can catch my new podcast, The Bus Stop. Anywho, we shan't waste too much time splitting hairs. This performance was hot. And on the runway, Baby is giving us a look from And Juliet. And this is a relatively new musical. Apparently it debuted in 2019, just 3 years ago. And from what I understand, the story is based on What If Juliet Didn't Die, and this was a significant musical to Baby because it was the first time that Juliet was played by a black woman on the West End stage. And Baby's look is very true to the source material. She did a great job of adapting it, but in the Baby style. We love a little blue jean baby, and while this was a relatively simple look, sure, compared to some of the crazy theatrical productions that are sitting on this stage tonight, Danny Beard, I'm looking at you, she did a great job with it, and it's very Baby. I love this look, and I think it's hot. And finally, Mrs. Beard herself. So in the challenge, as we mentioned earlier, she ends up with the role of Lairy Poppins, but only because Pixie Polite decided that at the last minute, she didn't want LVD, so they swapped. I also loved that Danny was so confident in either role. Danny's response to the switch is just like, I'll give it a whack. The versatility. We love to see it. And in the Rusical, this character is the anti-Mary, who as it turns out is just a Beetlejuice parody, basically coming to wreak havoc on the lives of these two poor children. I loved how right before Lairy Poppins is summoned, on the back of the kite, you can see Lairy Poppins, Lairy Poppins, Lairy Poppins 3 times. Her performance, I think, defines what a Rusical performance should be, but it also defines just like what a West End or, you know, Broadway musical performance should be. The caliber felt that good. And yes, it was hot, hot, hot. Plus, over on the runway, oh my god, what an amazing way to top yourself, or at least, you know, equally top in the same episode on the runway as you did in the challenge. Oh my god. She's giving Audrey 2 from Little Shop of Horrors. This is a phenomenal piece of theater, literally just on the stage. It is really, really crazy what she did here. I don't even know how that fit in the suitcases that they brought. And the crazier thing, it's not just a costume that she's wearing. It's like a mechanical working puppet that's on her head. Everybody loves puppets. The tentacles move. The pot can go up and down depending on what she's doing with it. And the other girls are right. This look is going to make her straight. This is what gets everyone talking about Drag Race right here. Great job. Oh, I can't do thumbs up. I heard that Gen Z canceled the thumbs up emoji. Anywho, Piranha, I hardly know her. This look is hot. I also enjoy that Danny, knowing that this look was about to air on Twitter the day before, tweeted out, "Are the silhouette police ready for tomorrow?" Referring to critiques she's been seeing online, I suppose, about her silhouette being similar for the past several runways. And yeah, to her credit, the queens don't know which runway is going to go where, but this runway certainly came at the right time. And concerning this Rusical and episode as a whole, wow. 10s, 10s, 10s across the board. I really enjoyed every aspect of it. There was gaggy drama, promoting mental health, amazing runways, an amazing challenge. This was top tier TV. So our win this episode, no big surprise, goes to Danny Beard. I do think if they really wanted to drive narrative a different way, they could have given the win to Jonbers, or maybe even Pixie or Peppa. Those were some of my favorite performances of the night. I also wasn't totally expecting Danny, because it's not often that they will give a queen 2 wins 2 weeks in a row. That said, she absolutely earns her 3rd repeater badge in this competition, making her the, statistically speaking, front runner of the competition. And in our bottom 2, we have Dakota, Schiffer, and Baby. I 100% do understand the bottom placement for Dakota. However, again, Baby, they're kind of confused me. But I probably would have been kind of confused with anyone else, because I feel like at that same level in the Rusical, you do have Baby, LaFille, and Cheddar kind of in this good, but yes, there were just some queens that were better category tonight. So Baby and Dakota lip sync, and this really was one where I wouldn't have been surprised if Ru said double Shantae, because the critiques for everyone were so positive, and the lip sync from both of these girls was that good. If I absolutely had to pick, I would give it to Baby. But before Ru can say anything, she says, I have to say something, and tells Ru that she needs to leave the competition. I would guess that some part of this plan on Baby's part was known to the producers. How much? I obviously don't know, but Rupaul typically does have a lot more objection when a queen is like, I want to leave. Regardless of what happened behind the scenes though, I have so much respect for Baby for going through with this episode, absolutely killing it in the challenge and the lip sync, and overall being a ray of sunshine, I think, in this competition. The Bussy Queen channel is over here sending her lots of love and best of luck in the world. And finally, let's take a look at what Sminty dropped on us in the Digital Spy article. Concerning how the judges are weighing runways in Drag Race UK 4, she said this: "Stop acting brand new. Don't tell us to do all these runways if you're not going to take any of them into consideration. You can give me my 10s and say I look flawless, but when it comes to being in the bottom, it's like, trails off." Do I disagree that I should have been in the bottom? No. I think if I wasn't in the bottom, the fans were going to go crazy and say that it literally would have been pitchforks with flames and torches. But I think just keep the same energy through every season. If you're going to put people in the bottom because of their look, people's looks should save them from the bottom. I honestly think it could have been one of those things where it's like, Sminty Drop, this look saved you by the skin of your teeth, don't ever let this happen again. Which obviously is a really fair point, being told that you have like the best look on the runway that night, but then lip syncing in the bottom, I'm sure is a bit of a mind-blowing experience. So those crazy runways that we see are not cheap, and if they're not counting, then why are the girls doing them? The answer there being, I think, well, because runways make good TV. They are mostly what people will remember, 5-10 years from now, not necessarily how an individual queen performed in challenge. And I really don't think they have ever mattered on a regular season of RuPaul's Drag Race that Ru has judged. I think they mostly will just say something about a runway if they're getting critiques for a challenge, and it might sound like they're using a runway as justification to do a top or bottom placement, but we have seen many an amazing runway lip sync and go home. And now it's time for Hottest Hots. Danny Beard on the runway, Danny Beard in the challenge for me, and for my patrons as well. It was Danny Beard's episode, Girl She Swept. And finally, I want to say thank you so much to today's video sponsor, Raid Shadow Legends, which you can download using the link in the description of this video. There's tons of amazing events, promo codes, and new things for new players, so make sure to download Raid. I know you're gonna love the game. And I want to give an extra special shout out to Aiden the Individual, Asa Hakel, Ashley Brungar, Cyrus Dickey, Felicia Frankie, Hector Simancas, Jeffrey Joseph Kyle Hermes, Laura Seth, Luke Peterson, Mark James, Matthew Barnes, Matto, Michelle Bell, Miss F, Neely, Sailor, Topher Travis Lundy, Wheelie, and Will and Tana, who are all supporting me at my Bussy Queen Collector tier over at patreon.com. See you later, love ya, bye.